So my name is Eric Bouchard. I'm a DevRel over at MetaMask, and I work really closely with like our API team and the MetaMask SDK, which is a way for developers to connect to the extension or mobile. And then I also kind of manage a team of contractors that help with kind of back office DevRel stuff. And Guillaume also used to be on our team. But one of the things that I kind of wanted to catch up with you today, Guillaume, is to kind of see what you've been doing over the last year. Oh, there we go. We got a host coming through. MetaMask Dev. How you doing? Let's see. I think whoever is there we go. Thanks for muting. So Guillaume, maybe while we're waiting for everyone else, just maybe give a little bit of introduction to yourself, how you got into Web3, more specifically kind of what you've been doing over the last year with like MetaMask portfolio, DApp, etc.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been a long time dev. Before I joined MetaMask, I was mainly doing in Web2, working in open source projects over at Vercel, and that's a bit how we met, right? So I was doing some examples into how to use Next.js with MetaMask, and we talked. Since I moved on to more engineering over at MetaMask, I have been working on the portfolio team. So MetaMask, obviously, everybody knows the extension, but we also have a fairly cool and extensive DApp offering, which is called the portfolio, which allows you to see a lot of things like your full asset. You can see games, you can see your NFTs, you can see DeFi and interact with it. So mainly for the past year, I've been cranking out features, upgrading our tech stack. Yeah, that's been pretty much it. So I've been living the Web3 dev life since around a year now.
And the MetaMask portfolio, for those who haven't used it, I mean, it's kind of like an extension of the MetaMask wallet in a way, allowing to kind of stake, bridge, swap, buy, sell. I mean, I mostly use it for bridging, but maybe you can tell us, I guess, why do we need a MetaMask portfolio, which is this kind of web dApp that kind of and also can you log into it with other wallets too? Someone asked me that the other day, and I know the answer is yes, but kind of what's the purpose behind MetaMask portfolio, and kind of also what does it do with helping to further kind of the technology in and around
of course.
the MetaMask wallet?
So obviously, one of the reasons that you would need portfolio is that there are kind of limits to what you can do into an extension and a mobile wallet. So sometimes we have at MetaMask a lot of ideas of what we'd like to build. You mentioned bridging, staking. We also have buy and sell features. These, you could do them in the extension and the mobile application, but the real estate, like the screen size for those two is fairly limited. Because we want the extension to keep a pop-up, and we want the mobile to obviously, fit on a smaller screen. So sometimes if we want to show you full graphs of what, the progression of your tokens, we want to allow you to view multiple wallets all at once, these are the kind of things that we use the portfolio for. And you did ask if we can connect other wallets. The answer is yes, even though MetaMask is always the wallet we'll test the most, but we have a fairly extensive support for other wallets. We've seen people from at least other 10 wallets use it so far with good feedback. And of course, when something is not working, we try to correct it. Really, we have a lot of things on the portfolio. We also just recently launched a gaming page where you can actually see games that are compatible with the MetaMask experience, where you can use MetaMask to log into those games with our partners over at Hyperplay. So the possibilities are endless for portfolio. So that's why we have this platform to really enable a lot more experience that would be too limited in a smaller screen.
Yeah. And, I think one of the kind of advancements in kind of wallet UI, or sorry, not UI, but UX, over the past year has been EIP 6963. Is that something that you guys have implemented over on MetaMask portfolio, or kind of still in the works?
That's not one I've worked. I know we have 6963. I know we started working on this one, but I've not worked on this one. Sorry, I did not. Wait. Can you remind me of the gist of it? And
Yeah. So with the IP 6963, basically it's the kind of multi-provider discovery. So back in the day, whenever you would log on to a dApp, typically when you would click the connect, wallet button, if you had, there's other wallets out there that kind of maybe identify as MetaMask. There's also other issues which the window.ethereum kind of object gets clobbered by these different wallets, and the last one kind of to touch it, there's kind of this race condition that interferes with connecting to the right wallet sometimes. So what the EIP 6963 does is it basically, if you kind of integrate it into a dApp that you're building, or use one of the wallet connection libraries that supports the IP 6963, it allows for kind of discovering of all of those providers. And then when you call like Ethereum request accounts, it can connect you to the right one by using like a unique identifier.
So yes, I do remember we did implement that. We actually found, when you said that other wallets sometimes try to act as if they were MetaMask, we actually had a few people report bugs that these wallets would pop up before their MetaMask popped up. So that was one of the reasons we implemented it, to make sure that people wanting to connect their MetaMask would have MetaMask connect first. So yes, we do. We even have some people sometimes with like 5 or 6 wallets. So that was funny when we were implementing it, because we had this huge list of wallets, and we do prioritize MetaMask if you have it installed, just because obviously, you're connecting to a MetaMask product, so you're expecting MetaMask to show up. But then it will fall back to the other wallets if you don't have MetaMask installed. So that's how we integrated it. And you mentioned also the the libraries like WAGMI. We do use WAGMI, so that was like a big one in integrating.
Yeah, and we're going to get over to WAGMI in a moment. So now that we kind of got everyone else on the call, so Guillaume just kind of introduced himself. I introduced myself, let everyone kind of know where we are. I'm a MetaMask DevRel, been here since 2022. I was one of the, the first DevRels to come onto the MetaMask team. I think Guy was our second DevRel to come over, and he's now working on MetaMask portfolio. So that's kind of us. But I also wanted to introduce Mirko and Francesco, who are both team members from our DevRel team. So maybe start with Mirko or Francesco. Does either of you want to take the microphone real quick and just introduce yourself?
Sure, I can go first. Hey everyone, this is Mirko. I'm a former engineer turned DevRel in the MetaMask team. I work very closely with Eric, Francesco, Guy, Lauren. We make sure that we can create an amazing community around MetaMask. I'll pass it to Francesco to introduce himself.
Thanks for the popcorn, Mirko. So yeah, thanks everybody for the space, and welcome everybody, and welcome to the people that will listen to this space later. I'm Francesco. I'm also part of the DevRel team at Consensus, and I'm excited to have one of the first spaces very specific to developer experience topics. Like UI, UX is super relevant those days. Whenever we're thinking to build our products, whenever we're thinking to decentralize our product, we always need to care about the builder, the developer journey, and most important, the user feedbacks. That's why I'm super passionate about everything around snaps and permissionless innovation. And I don't know who I need to popcorn with. I think, Eric, you introduce yourself. Guy, you also introduce yourself. And it's great to see a lot of familiar faces around the space today.
Absolutely. I think one of the more notable things that you guys haven't really talked about yet. And so Mirko and Francesco, probably a year ago now, kind of started up the Builder Day and Builder Night, which I think kind of going out to the various events all over the world, like these are kind of the highlight of what I like to kind of go to when I'm at these events. There's all these kind of side events going on at these big conferences and hackathons, but maybe you guys could speak a little bit to what you're doing there. I mean, because I really believe that the only way to kind of better UX kind of in the Web3 space is to get people from kind of all over the ecosystem in one place, one, teaching and educating people, but also, just talking, less shilling and getting up there and just talking about the different technologies. So maybe you can tell us just a little bit about that before.
Eric, that's a good point, and I think also is a great kind of like segue to start this space. So basically, like Mirko and myself, like at the beginning, we were like, okay, how we can create this safe space for developers that are not just getting shielded their face like specific product feedbacks, right? And we started doing that around account abstraction because a lot of like 437 topics were kind of like not really debated on a technical level. And then we said, okay, let's start developer meetups, nothing crazy, around the Denver, I think was last year, Mirko, or something, last year or 2 years ago. And basically like we brought the 437 EF team together. We started debating also some of the very technical debate that were happening around 437. And then like we saw really like the great feedbacks around the builders in the community saying we want this more. We liked really the setup. We like how the things were debated on kind of like a very agnostic level. And as consequence, we also got a lot of like builders that started to build and kind of get interested as a consequence to our developer product like Snaps, SDK, and App API. And basically things kind of like until today we'd run like 20 plus like builder nights on different topics. The last ones were around, for example, risk-taking in Dubai. The next one will be in ECC for anybody also like joining. And I don't know, Mirko, you want to add something more? I think like we started as a meetup, a developer meetup, and it kind of finished or it's continuing as a movement, and but with the same ethos.
Yeah, I think for us what was always important, it's like, let's create this kind of safe space for builders where they can hear and learn about technologies without having like any specific product shield. That's one of the problem we always saw at these events, is like that you show up there and it kind of ends up being like a kind of sales pitch about a specific product, about a specific blockchain, which, I mean, sometimes is okay, but most of the time you really just want to go to an event and enjoy kind of different point of views, like meet like good quality people. And that was like the entire kind of idea around this was like, okay, let's start these events. Let's do it like shield free. Let's invite everyone really to be co-sponsor. Like, can be another wallet, it can be another blockchain, as long as they are like legit projects and they're not scam. Everyone is invited to co-host with us. Yeah, it's been a great journey so far. I think we ran like 25 or 26 of them across the globe. So it has been like amazing.
Yeah, and I think like
You guys have done 25 or 26 already?
Yeah, it's the
insane.
time passed super fast, and I think also the reason why we kind of like not engineered that much those kind of like activation was the fact that we englobed different like builders partners, right? A lot of like other companies that sharing like same value and they're fully transparent and core with their core value to developers today was really all about kind of like collaborating together to run a very technical debate to have specific like kind of like consequence, right? And I think it was very well perceived, and also like a lot of like different partners. I think we kind of trying to pull some reporting out of it, but I think we ran those builder nights with something like 250 ecosystem players in the space, and it was actually quite amazing because I didn't know that the number was so high. But I think people, when you're running like a cool initiative for builders in the space, wanna collaborate more, and I think that's why we're around. And this will never be possible without a strong team supporting us, right? I remember you, Eric, you were all around also for the workshop and builder days, like running and supporting developers and responding questions. I think this is really impossible to do as a single person job. Like it's great to see such a tremendous amount of support.
Yeah, and I can't wait till kind of ETH Brussels. I mean, I think I've been to 3 or 4 of the builder days and builder nights. They kind of happen at the same time, builder day during the day and builder night at night, obviously how it sounds. But, and I actually didn't know that we had done that many, but you guys travel around so much and you're kind of doing them even outside of some of the bigger conferences, and workshops. And the last kind of thing I'll say that, around kind of builder day and builder nights is I don't want to harp on it too long, but I just I really love the event. And it's not so much as like, it's kind of like in East Denver, they call it the no shill zone, but, we do talk about, specific products, but the thing that I like going to builder nights and learning about is there's always like these technical buzzwords going around kind of each year in the, kind of blockchain Ethereum space. And I feel like, in the last few kind of builder nights that I went to where you guys have the panels, is I have the kind of ability, if I don't know what's kind of going on with these buzzwords or I don't really understand what they mean, I feel like the team does a really good job at kind of breaking that stuff down, calling bullshit when it's bullshit, or even maybe talking about like, X topic, DPIN and, Nader, what was Nader's talk on, last time?
Was restaking.
Yeah, exactly. So there's these overall topics that are kind of big buzzwords, and I go there and I can kind of listen to people that I kind of respect in the space, talk about them in the right way, and kind of guide me on kind of what I should be paying attention to and what I shouldn't be. But beyond that, it's just this gathering of all of these different teams, people that we know that we've been kind of seeing all over the world as we travel around, and coming out kind of putting their best foot forward to represent the space and kind of talk about the things I think that people should know about and teaching. So it's just really great event. I love doing them, and I'll be there at ECC with you this time and running around doing video, giving a workshop if I need, and super excited about it. So one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to get back to some of the topics. So we've kind of had introductions all around. We also have a few people on our team down in the audience here. If anyone has any questions, they can request the mic and kind of and ask us. But this is kind of a Twitter space around UI and UX, and mostly I wanted to get on here and pick Guillaume's brain a little bit, but also find out kind of what Francesco and Mirko think about some of these topics. So I've kind of have some topics that are broad that I wanted to kind of ask you guys about, but we can also kind of dive into any kind of aspect of these topics and talk more of it, but kind of future of Web3 developer experience.
Let's get some spicy question to Guillaume.
Yeah, and also if anyone in the audience has any kind of more pointed questions that they want to ask, let me know. But Guillaume is one of these people that I like because he kind of cuts through the bullshit and isn't scared to talk about kind of what's wrong with developer experience or UI or UX in Web3, because there are a lot of issues. We're very young. Web3 is very young, and we don't have kind of the I guess the track record that Web2 has. There's all these amazing technologies in Web2, from Amazon Web Services, Vercel, React, and all of the major kind of ecosystem around these technologies. But Guillaume, what do you think about kind of developer experience in Web3 kind of as it currently is and where it's going, and what do we need to do kind of to make sure that we are iterating on developer experience correctly and overall making a better kind of developer experience for people, this year, next year, et cetera?
I think I'd like to first start, you kind of gave me a reputation of cutting through the bullshit, but I'd like to celebrate that since 2 years ago, I've seen massive improvements in the way libraries are now more fully typed. Libraries are also now more documented. So honestly, the level of maturity easily doubled in the last 2 years. That being said, though, there are still a lot of things. I still see so many ecosystems, pushing you to come build on them. But then you realize the documentation is half baked. There's prize money, but I would rather see that money invested in making sure that the SDKs are stable. So I'm not trying to pick up any names, but I've also myself experienced a lot of times where the resulting UX that we want to create for our customers is still secondary. So it's gotten better. But for me, I'm a big proponent of having, building light, building agile, and making sure that your app gets into the hands of everybody. But to this day, a lot of the tooling that we use is heavy on bundle size. There's way too much. But I'm starting to see really glimmers of hope. VM was like one of the most promising ones where I saw something like smaller bundle size, and I'm sure you're going to have questions later. But to me, the biggest challenges is still that I have to work a lot with half-baked SDKs. And I understand these companies need time to get there. But I'd love to see more focus on just be building and not shipping out, shilling our products until we're ready to have builders on top of it.
I think there's a few things that kind of play into this. One is that, Web 2 had these growing pains years ago. I would say the 5 years after kind of HTML5 and once kind of Angular and React started coming out, that we went through these growing pains in Web 2. And do you think it's just that we're not remembering the things from Web 2 that we learned or and applying them in Web 3? Or is it potentially that in Web 3 we have this influx of developers that are new to the space coming in that never had those experiences in the first place? Is it a mix of those two? And of course, I see the improvements as well, especially like you said around VM, WAGMI, and then even around like user experience, that kind of the shining light, I think, for like a user app like in Uniswap, where I think the reason why they do so well is because they iterate slowly, they don't push a feature out until it's complete, and they have a lot of respect for like the overall UX. What does a user go through when they're using their site? I know I threw a bunch of stuff in there, but are we forgetting the things that we learned in Web 2? Are there too many people in this space that don't have that experience? What do you think?
I think we were somehow forced to forget some of these in the name of decentralization. So obviously when a lot of people came over with ideas that everything from Web 2 was not to be applied and we had to build from the ground up, even though, we are using a lot of libraries that were coming over from Web 2, but we haven't, because like you mentioned, we haven't created our own, UI rendering framework or our own compute frameworks. So I think a lot of this has to do because slowly we're starting to pick what is good in Web 2 and making sure that it's respectable. We're not coming over with like the full tracking, the full privacy. So I think that's what's happening slowly, is that we are getting to a point where we know what we can do from Web 2 and we're integrating it into the mindset. But I think Francesco has a question or follow-up.
I think also like the role of documentation is starting to kind of like to move around, right? I think more and more people, especially in hackathon, starting like, ChatGPT threads and like how to get their dependency installed. Like it's very interesting. And this is a question for everyone, right? Like, roles of docs. I even like start to see like people, where we did some session with other DevRels around the roast my docs. They basically were going through some of the docs, and people were kind of criticizing, saying, hey, we just need to have some embedded video because, people sometimes are consuming like, tutorials better than just static docs. But I mean, it depends. So my question for anybody, because I gave kind of my take, like, what do you see the roles of the docs are shifting or changing with all this kind of like specific like innovation that are happening, or you see like different type of like docs there need to be consumed, different type of developers in their funnel are moving on different like way to consume this data. What do you think is the role of the docs those days?
Francesco, was a question directed towards me?
No. Obviously, like you have a lot of time to think, because I think we debated a lot around, some of the tutorials, how they need to be kind of like directed. But this question is for everyone, right? Like you, Guy, like Mirko, and even Eric, that you guys wanna jump in.
Personally, I think docs should be, one of the highest priorities of any team, especially if you're building externally. And to never forget that docs is not monolithic. There's at least 5-6 different personas. Some people like YouTube videos, people like tutorials, people like GitHub repos that are starter kits. So I think it's to have a look at the docs in this holistic approach where you're trying to meet everybody's needs. It's hard to produce as much content to meet everybody's needs, but at least, make sure you have one example in GitHub, you have one tutorial, you have one video where you see somebody live coding. So try to make sure you have a little bit of everything in the docs. And at least, even if it's not perfect, multiple ways of learning is better than just one doc that is half finished.
Yeah, I think, I being in DevRel for, I think 6 years now, I have a lot of kind of people in the DevRel space that ask me, hey, I'm starting at this company or at this product and I'm doing DevRel, and kind of what's the thing that we should be focusing on first? And documentation of your APIs, of your product, your tutorials. I think documentation of all the APIs is like the first thing that if you get a team of DevRels, they need to be the user zero. They need to start going through and trying to figure out where those gaps are, understanding who the developer audience is and what their personas are, like Guillaume said, and making sure that you have something for everyone. But, and kind of not stopping there, but continuing to, I think I like to say it's the engineering team's job to spike the initial version of the docs, and it's the DevRel's kind of job to go through and to kind of put themselves in the shoes of a developer and to figure out, hey, I'm going to walk through this. I'm going to act like I don't know anything about the product, and I'm going to try to get from 0 to hello world and beyond in X number of minutes and see how long it takes, see if there are any gaps, etc. So it is like the most important function, if you have a few DevRels, to have them start with the docs, have them start being that user zero of these products, understanding, I guess just kind of the lay of the land first. I went ahead and brought someone up. So Monkey, you have a weird username. I brought you on because it seemed like you might have a question. And as more people kind of come on with questions, I don't mind pulling you up on stage. You can chime in if you have a question, but just know if anyone tries anything crazy, I'm gonna boot you off the stage. But Monkey, I guess it's Monkey69168. Great Twitter username. Do you have any questions so far? If not, we'll go ahead and kind of move on. It's no big deal. But you requested the mic. So, okay, yeah, I see your hand up. What's up?
Yeah, hi. Hi everyone. Myself Mallikarjuna. I put my username as Monkey, so you can call me Sunkara or Mallikarjuna. So currently,
okay. You have a question?
Yeah, I have it. So I'm learning Web3. I have foundations of this Web2, but I'm not able to figure out the Web3 stuff properly. And could you please guide me on, like, give me some tips on how to level up in Web3 and get the job, like how to approach a company, like what are the ways to reach out?
Yeah, no, I think I understand your question. Let me try to kind of reiterate the question. Your mic's a little bit muffled, but I think the idea is that you're new to Web3. You're trying to figure things out. You're trying to get a job. Kind of, what are the steps that you should be taking? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's just like with any career, where there's, as long as you put the work in ahead of time, there are some amazing resources. We have a crypto DevRel on Telegram where there's just an abundance of people there that are like the type of people to follow. You need to start figuring out, first, what kind of ecosystem do you want to develop in? Who are the people that are kind of learning in public and teaching in public in those spaces? How do I follow them on Twitter? How do I keep up with kind of some of the stuff that they're suggesting? Are there any kind of 0 to 100 courses. And when I think of kind of the Ethereum space, of course, all of us as DevRels are out there and we're putting out content, but there's a few people like Austin Griffith and Nader Dabit and Patrick Collins that they're beasts as far as like, especially like Patrick Collins and putting out the materials that you need to, and it might take a while, but to kind of work yourself through and figure out how to do the basics in Web3, how to connect to a wallet, how to build a dApp, how to deploy a contract. As well, you can DM folks like myself, Francesco, Guy, Mirko, if you have questions, but like starting that journey and kind of committing to it every day or at least several times a week, that's all you can do. And then it's a matter of leveraging your network, right? So you have to, there's a certain point, no matter how introverted some of us are, and I used to kind of be this way in the past, where you have to open up, you have to start talking to people, you have to start showing up in public to events, and sharing things with people and sharing with, maybe even on Twitter or Farcast or, Warpcast, whatever, what you're building and getting kind of feedback on it. If you don't start to do those things, you will not progress. And especially kind of in this space. The final thing I would say is what technologies underlie, like in the Web3 space. When I came in, I was a React developer and I liked building UI, and it made a lot of sense for me to like join the MetaMask team. But even before that, like I focused on dApp building, and I focused on, you know, not so much on the contract side. I'd build a contract. I'd do the very basics I needed to deploy a contract, but then trying to figure out how do I interact with this contract from the front end? How do I figure out how do I demystify some of these concepts that I hear about but I don't know, and then just going through those things methodically one by one until I figured them out. And then leveraging that network of people is how you get the job. So.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, was that
Yeah,
applause?
I did a clap. I'm trying to check out this clapping magic thing. I don't know if it's only speaker can do it, but it's super cool. Eric, I also like pinned this, I wrote back in the days like an ultimate, like kind of like hackathon survival guide. So like for you, Monkey, and I don't know what's your name, but for you want to check it out also, like those resources. And there are a bunch of those resources guide, but you know, like I'm always recommending stuff like, you know, check out like stuff like Crypto Zombies, check out also like what people in the spaces. I think like DevRel in general, they're very accessible, especially like for not just top of the funnel, but beginner developers, because, you know, we were exactly there before. So I think like having this list of resources coming from accessible people, I think it's very easy to go through, right? And I think, Eric, you mentioned also these top advocates. I added like stuff like, you know, check out Crypto Zombies, check out like also other resources, how to start with. But yeah, there are a bunch of things out there. Like also like one recommendation I'm always trying to give is always like get like kind of like your ends down and write the things that you're learning. Like don't be afraid to write things down, right? It could be like a blog post, could be like, you know, a YouTube video, you know, things that you're writing, and share these wins, even if they're small, with the community, because I think this is the best way to kind of collaborate in Web3.
Yeah, Guy, do you have any specific advice on this topic before we move on?
You said you covered a lot. Just the only one I would add is to really not treat Web3 as if it was something different than what you already know. Because I think I heard Monkey mention coming from Web2 over. In the end, we're calling APIs, we're calling SDKs, we are following documentation. In the end, there are different terminology, but it's still the same way of interacting with the code and the technology. So do not fear the adaptation and the wording, the jargon is going to come as with any, you know, like new field you come in. So yeah, that's it.
So one thing I would kind of just kind of as a final on this topic is the people that I see succeeding in Web3, and even some of my closest friends, I think they treat Web3 just like they treated kind of all these different technologies that came out over the past 10 years, whether it was ML, whether it was AI. These are just additional tools in your toolbox. I I don't consider myself like a web3 builder. I consider myself a full stack JavaScript developer who has this kind of tool in my toolbox around decentralized development that I'm learning, and of course I'm still learning. And first and foremost, though, I'm a React developer. I'm a front end developer. I like building UI. I like figuring out how applications kind of work and trying to build in JavaScript as much as possible through the entire stack. So that doesn't change. If you're coming from Web 2, my biggest suggestion is to there's no point where you need to drop the stuff that you learned in Web 2. In fact, you need to continue honing those Web 2 skills, especially as it applies to front end technologies and React and TypeScript and to continue kind of leveling up those skills while also taking on some newer skills. When I'm building a full stack Web3 dApp, there is, I don't know, 50% or more of the application and the kind of development that I'm doing that all hinges on me kind of having this huge background from being in Web 2. So cool. I think that answers it. Really quickly, I'm just going to, I muted everyone real quick. I thought that doesn't work how I thought it would. I thought when you muted everyone, it would just mute them and then they could unmute. But anyways, cool. I want to go ahead and get on to another topic. Monkey, do you have any last follow-up questions before we move on? Or do you think that helped out?
Yeah, it's really helpful. One more question that is rolling in my mind. So, if Patrick Collins is teaching 16 hours of Python blockchain course, smart contract building with Python, so if I follow that 16 hours and spend a few more hours, like a few more weeks also, spending on developing the same projects, does the projects will give me a job in Web3, or should I do something smart and uh, develop some different kind of advanced applications?
Honestly,
I think
okay.
the question was, oh yeah, go ahead, Guillaume.
Yeah, I'm just going to answer as I've given at least over 50 interviews of people who wanted to join MetaMask. I'm often a technical interviewer, and often what we look for is, of course, if you have Web3 knowledge, this is good, but we're often not looking for your exact projects or courses that you've done. We're just looking to see if all around you are an engaging developer who likes to learn and likes a challenge. And when we try to judge if your Web3, knowledge is present or not, we are really forgiving. We've seen people come from traditional Web2 jobs with few Web3 knowledge, and we've still hired them because we had a good vibe with them. So I would say don't focus just on their learning, but approach it as you would just approach any job. Work on getting a nice GitHub to make sure you're noticed in the CVs. Work on making sure you display your code in areas where I can find it if I'm seeing at your CV, and make sure your skills are listed properly. And then when you get to the interview, it's just regular as before. Like I never had a Web3 interview where I was asked deep down questions on something, because all of this you can learn on the job, and there's a lot of resources everywhere. So yeah, just don't overthink it pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, when you're going for that job, make sure that you really kind of understand and kind of analyze what they're looking for in a developer. And you can even kind of ask whoever your contact is. Sometimes it's a recruiter. Sometimes you're talking directly with the team. Also, the role, the kind of job role posting is a good place to find some of that information. But quite often it happens where these job roles don't have everything there. So it's good to kind of ask them, what kind of skills are you looking for? What should I be coming with? And we've seen many people, like Guillaume said, come who, they're just amazing JavaScript or TypeScript developers, or they've got a really good handle on kind of building libraries, working with NPM and Node.js, et cetera, that those skills are kind of 80% get them to where we're interested in having them on, and then just ensuring that they have some type of level of understanding with Web3 is great. And then we can kind of evaluate all of the candidates from there. But yeah, it's great. Cool. I want to move on from that topic. So yeah, thank you so much. What was your name again?
Yeah, Sunkara. You can call me.
Sunkara. All right. Yeah, thank you so much. Really, really great questions, man. Awesome. Thank you so much. If anyone else has any questions, they can request the mic as well.
Yeah, thanks.
So, so kind of the next topic. I don't know if we want to go into I think we kind of covered pretty well UI and UX and Web3, tools and toolkits for Web3 development. Guillaume, I think some of the things that kind of make me most excited about working in Web3 right now are projects like WAGME and VM. And in fact, I've been focusing a lot more kind of in this space. We have a MetaMask SDK that we've been building a connector for WAGME. I'm not here to show that or anything. It's just it's one of the reasons why I've been spending a lot more time kind of in this space. So if anyone doesn't know what WAGME is, these are React hooks that kind of sit on top of VM that allow. So VM you can think of as kind of like the business logic kind of layer in interacting with Ethereum, and then WAGME are these hooks, and also a way for maybe connection libraries and wallets to build connectors, so that I guess the easiest way to explain it is that I guess WAGME kind of abstracts kind of it ensures that no matter if all of the wallets are following the same standards, that there's a kind of a common interface to interact with. And I think back to like in my Web2 days, like Vercel and the kind of products and tools that they kind of have brought to the market. And Guillaume, you're very knowledgeable because you used to work with Vercel. But do you see any kind of comparisons to like the VM and WAGME? I don't know if there's like a parent company in which creates VM and WAGME. At least if there is, I don't know the name of it. But like I see them as kind of this same type of company inside of Web3 that are really trying to, I guess, even out or build these kind of abstractions on top of all of the madness going on in Web3, and to give developers kind of one common interface to use. And I'm just wondering what you think about that. Is this the right way forward? Do you see it the same way I do? Are you as excited with about these tools? And then I'll get into kind of some of the bad
so
things stuff too.
Yeah, sure. So we actually integrated it months ago, and it made a big change in our code base. We were dispersed all over the place. We had so many hooks, we had so many ways of doing things. And just to give context, we're probably like 40 developers on one project. So bringing over WAGME meant we have a single tool set. And some of the greatest things is that you get a lot of things for free, because all of what WAGME does, you could do it before with other libraries. But it's the nice little touches like refetching and like a caching layer for when you're interacting with like smart contracts, like these things, because basically WAGME is wraps other libraries for fetching. I forgot. I think it was anyway. I don't want to be quoted on the wrong one, so I'll say I'm not sure. But all I wanted to say is that for me, WAGME really made working with Web3 fun. Before I used it, everything was painful. Everything was like, digging down documentation of really obscure specs to get what I want. And VM, the pairing with it, I'm super happy because the bundle size is much smaller than others. So that's another big win for me.
Yeah, you touched on kind of refetching. So if people don't kind of understand what this does for you, when you're building a React application, and let's say that you're not using WAGME, you could be using VM, but maybe you're not using WAGME, you don't have these hooks. one of the things that you're going to run into really quickly is that once you call the contract and then once you're reading the contract, your React application isn't updating kind of the way it should as a React application, right? I've minted an NFT. I now want to maybe call into the contract, figure out, based on a user's address, how many NFTs that they own and display those on the screen or something like that. So there's a wait for transaction receipts, I want to say, is kind of the hook that you would use or a method that you would use, and that allows you to kind of wait on the transaction just as you would have to build out on your own if you didn't have these methods. And then refetch is something that you kind of get from one of these hooks so that you can kind of, refetch and recall that data once you're done waiting on that transaction. And this allows you then to kind of refresh the data that your components rely on so that the user just sees kind of a very responsive kind of interaction. So I mint an NFT, I maybe then vote on something, and all of the kind of the products of doing those actions through the contract are immediately reflected in my application. And without those hooks, without those methods, you can't, it's not that you can't do it, it's just that you have to write a lot of that code yourself. So really good point there. And beyond that, like you have the use connect, use disconnect, all of these hooks that it doesn't really matter how I connect to or disconnect from a certain wallet. WAGMI is kind of figuring all that out underneath the hood, and they're kind of abstracting that away and allowing just to have some common kind of hooks and methods that you can call in order to do all of these things. Do I have that right?
Yeah, totally. And just to insist on like the importance of refetching, like this is about keeping your UI fresh. When you go onto a dApp and somehow the price is not changing, even though you've done the transaction, like this is the small things that make your life much better. So all of these being baked into WAGMI means that now most people who are just in React can build a Web3 application, which 2 years ago, that was hard.
Yeah, and one of the things I would say is that if anyone here is going to be out at kind of ECC or East Global Brussels, one of the things that our team has been doing, of course, work on whatever bounties you want to, and you don't have to work on our bounties, but we've got like a workshop that we've made for developers, and it really kind of considers everyone. It considers the seasoned developer, but it also considers the new developer, and where we kind of walk through kind of building a full stack application. Of course, we're using some of our own tools, but outside of that, all of the technology that we're using under the hood, we're using Foundry, we're showing people how to use Cast. And that's kind of what I wanted to pivot to next is just, UX isn't just about, I think I kind of like to talk about UX and DX in kind of the same breath. Although UX is a user experience, if you don't have a good developer experience, if you don't use products in which provide a good developer experience, then it doesn't make it easy for a developer to create a good UX for their developers. And some of the tools that I think I'm really interested in, I'm late to Foundry, right? Like I always use Truffle being a consensus developer or a consensus employee. I also learned quite a bit about Hardhat. And there were things left to be desired. And in fact, I think we kind of realized that when we saw Hardhat and Foundry really coming out and killing it. I'm not sure if it's the reason why we sunsetted Truffle, but Truffle's no longer a thing anymore. So I don't have the option of using that, even though I really liked using it. But using Foundry, like I'm going over to Foundry now. They have this really great tool set in and around Foundry. So they've got the one that I really like is Cast, right? So I used to have to put my, there were probably other options for this, but I need to put my private key into some type of environment variable. I then need to, and as a DevRel, I'm doing workshops and stuff. So I'm trying to make sure that like I don't click on my .env file and accidentally kind of show my private key or whatever, but Cast allows me not only to do this, but to do many other things where I can go ahead and give it my private key. I can give it a password to be able to make sure that I have just like a little slug that I can, or an argument to throw into my forge commands so that I don't have to be exposing my private key. And just kind of having this tool set that provides all of these tools makes a very good developer experience for me. I'm able to then iterate very quickly and build something great for developers. The same thing with WAGMI and VM. They have these really amazing developer experiences. I would even go as far as saying like stuff like Tailwind 2, which is a Web 2 technology. With the combination of all these things that have these amazing developer experience, it allows me to rapidly build applications and push out good experiences faster for my users. Are there any tools maybe that I haven't mentioned, Guillaume, Francesco, Mirko, that you guys think are really kind of providing and iterating on that developer experience?
I really like, especially for hackathon, like, stuff like speedrun on Ethereum. I see also like people like forking it on different like layer 2s. It's quite straightforward. Also like to run things and build your first app without too much. But then of course, like, stuff like Foundry, Hardhat, and also like some other tooling. But apart that, yeah, my recommendation is always like check out as early as possible, like the support of those specific tech stack, right? Like, random things. For example, if you're planning to deploy on Linea, for example, make sure that okay, if I have a problem, I'm going to the builder Telegram group, so you know already how accessible is the team, right? Even before, I think like this is also one of my things that I really like. For me, it's very important. It's almost like less. If I know that I want to try, speedrun, I want to check out that, Austin or like Kevin, they are like there and they'll write me back if I have a problem or if I have questions.
Yeah, so the whole community around speedrun is amazing.
Exactly.
I have a hot take on speedrun. It's not negative in any way, but it's a hot take. But I wanted to let Guillaume potentially answer that before I get my little hot take.
Oh, actually, no, I think everything was said. I just I just wanted to mention I will have to leave like in 2 minutes. So I'll leave like at the hour.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're going to be, I love it. We're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes anyways. And Guillaume, if you need to hop right at the top of the hour, it's not a problem at all. I guess the one thing I wanted to say, which I wanted to get Guillaume's response on, is that I too love speedrun Ethereum. In fact, it's the first thing that I ever learned kind of when coming into Web3. I was lucky enough to have a team in MetaMask that believed in my DevRel skills and were able to overlook my shortcomings in Web3. And between like Patrick Collins' courses and the speedrun Ethereum, all the different branches, I haven't used it like recently, but all the different branches that they had with all the different kind of scenarios and things that you can build were exactly what I needed as someone who less often kind of watches videos, but kind of really digs into looking at other people's code. But as a hacker going out to a hackathon, I think the place for something like speedrun Ethereum is before you go out to the hackathon. Checking out speedrun Ethereum, if you're new to Web3, getting really familiar with all the different ways that you can build and how that kind of accelerates your learning process. And then the kind of tools that I think that help you at the hackathon are these CLIs. So like WAGMI has a WAGMI Create. In fact, we just built a CLI with our RAD team, which is a group of contractors, which gets a hacker up and running really quickly with a full mono repo that has a blockchain folder, has a web directory, and actually uses, I guess, create WAGMI underneath the hood to scaffold out your project. These file new project kind of CLI tools in the Web2.
By the way, Rick, we have Mio of, I'm not sure if I can disclose the name, but she's one of the also like creator of this and super exciting to push this stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All I'm saying is that I think using speedrun Ethereum kind of before you go out to the hackathon to learn as much as possible, and then once you get there, just kind of really relying on the tools that have these great developer experiences and get you kind of scaffold up, quickly, get into a new project really quickly, so that you can then start to build out the rest on your own. And they don't have like a lot of, they don't make a lot of decisions for you, I would say. Yeah, and if anyone wants to request to hop up on the space on the stage, anything final, Guillaume? We're almost done with the space, but I know Guillaume has a hard stop at the top of the hour. Anything else you wanted to kind of add before you go?
No, I think that's all great and done. And for myself, I'm a bit of a hipster, and I like to do my repos all by hand, but definitely losing time each time. So go use the RAD CLI. It's going to save you a lot of time when you go hacking. And bye, Ripley. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I did want to acknowledge a few people that have kind of showed up in the space. So one is Meowie. She's and you don't have to take the stage if you don't want to, but Meowie works on our RAD team with us. So this is a group of engineers that kind of sit behind the scenes at Consensus they're kind of experts on not only everything kind of Consensus product, but also just overall ecosystem experts, and they build awesome projects for us. When we go out to hackathons, they're the ones that are putting together these amazing resources for the developers, these workshops in which we try to say, hey, let's try to build these workshops, and let's try to create these kind of repos that can help a developer to get started. However, not just just sit there and suggest that they need to use all of our products, but show them how to build a full stack with using the tools that we think accelerate their kind of hackathon project right from the beginning. Meowie, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? Maybe Meowie, if you could just kind of introduce yourself before we take off and let people know what you do here.
Hello. I feel like I can speak now. Or did I got cut off?
We can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for the amazing intro, Eric. I'm really honored to be here. I was just hearing a lot about the CLI and stuff, so I dropped our Red Starter CLI on the chat. On the tweets. And I just wanted to mention that what our team Red focuses on is mostly taking all the products we have and creating the use cases. And what we just really want to focus on is that how can we make dev experiences better, and how can a newcomer who's new to the space can get started really quickly without knowing all these buzzwords, knowing all this tooling, all these prerequisites. That's mostly what we focus on. And I'm Mary on Twitter, but my name is Sushmita or whatever, which everyone knows. But yeah, I just wanted to hop on and talk a little.
Thank you so much, Sushmita, and we really value your work and Alejandro's and Chintaka's work on the RAD team. As we kind of wind down this Twitter space, I also want to acknowledge one other person in here that when I started Web3 at MetaMask, ChatGPT wasn't really a thing yet, and when you join a new team, it's great to have engineers that can answer questions and, not, I guess not be jerks about it, and understand that you're coming from a place where you're truly trying to learn. And so Shane Jonas is on here, and I know that there were two projects that I kind of, and you don't have to take the stage if you don't want to, Shane, but I just wanted to acknowledge I had to build the ETH Denver food truck DApp when I first started. I had to build workshops, to show people how to kind of build full stack and use all of our different MetaMask products. And having engineers like that, are just willing to help and kind of help you accelerate, help you answer stupid questions that you have that I kind of, typically ask ChatGPT now, but just want to acknowledge some of the people that are here. Thanks everyone for coming out. And yeah, thank you, Francesco. Mirko's already dropped, but you can catch us all out at ETH Brussels and ETH Global, which is coming up within the next month. And yeah, we're super excited to kind of come out there. We have some great workshops planned. We also have some great side events planned. So just check out on Luma all the different things that are going on if you're going to be there, and hope to see everyone soon.
Thank you, Erica. I see you guys to the next one. And let's make sure that we're doing another Twitter space on a specific topic. I really like this vibe.
Awesome. Yeah, we're just going to continue progressing and going into more maybe complicated topics, but this is a great place to start. Thank you so much, everyone. See you later.
Thank you guys. See you later. Bye-bye.